Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today, we're diving into an intense and emotional story filled with hidden secrets, family conflict, and a mysterious fire that changes everything. Together, we'll follow Tuna and Alex as they face betrayal, uncover shocking truths, and fight to protect their home against forces that want to tear them apart. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. The sky above Tuna's farm glowed a haunting red, thick smoke twisting into the air and blotting out the early morning sunlight. Tuna stood frozen near the edge of the garden, her chest tight, breath caught in her throat. Her greenhouse, the pride of her land, months of sweat and devotion, was now swallowed by flames. "Get the hose!" Alex shouted, sprinting toward the inferno. Mr. Long and Egan followed behind, clutching buckets and anything that could hold water. But the blaze was wild, untamable, roaring like a beast awakened, devouring everything in its path. Tuna's trembling fingers barely held the phone as she called the fire department, her voice shaking, almost lost in the crackle of burning wood and shattering glass. Within minutes, the fire had consumed everything. By the time the last flames flickered out, nothing remained but a blackened skeleton of broken glass and ash. Tuna collapsed to her knees on the scorched earth, silent tears streaking her soot-stained face. Egan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, his eyes unfocused, staring far into the distance as though reliving another tragedy. Alex crouched beside her, brushing a loose strand of hair away. His voice was low, grave. This wasn't an accident. Tuna looked up, shocked. "What do you mean?" Alex's expression darkened. "There's gasoline in the air. Someone set this fire. On purpose." Before Tuna could reply, the low purr of an engine echoed across the gravel road. A sleek black car rolled to a stop. Out stepped Alex's mother, cold and composed, her face unreadable. She scanned the ruins as if she were examining a failed sculpture. "What happened here?" she asked, her voice dripping with false concern. Alex's eyes narrowed. "Why don't you tell us?" She smirked. "Oh, please, don't be dramatic. I'm just here to speak with Egan." Egan stayed silent. Her gaze shifted back to Tuna. "Such a shame. I know how much you adored this little farming fantasy, but some things are meant to burn." Before Tuna could respond, Alex's mother turned, got back into her car, and drove away, leaving behind a silence so heavy it choked the air. That night, Tuna couldn't sleep. She sat on a stone bench outside the barn, staring at the moonlit ashes, her heart restless. Alex appeared with 2 cups of tea and sat beside her. "I spoke with Mr. Long," he said quietly. "He saw someone near the greenhouse last night. At first, he thought it was one of us." Tuna tightened her grip on the cup. "It was her, wasn't it? Your mother." Alex exhaled. "I'm sure of it. She wants to break you. She thinks if she destroys what you've built, you'll leave, and then she can drag Egan back into her world." Tuna's gaze hardened. "I'm not going anywhere. Not now. Not ever." By morning, the scent of smoke still clung to the fields. Tuna and Alex examined the wreckage with notebooks and gloves, recording the damage. Mr. Long carefully inspected the ground near the rear of the greenhouse, stopping suddenly. "There's something strange here," he muttered, holding up a half-burned piece of cloth. His eyes fell on the dirt. "And these footprints, they aren't mine, and they aren't yours." Alex crouched beside him, frowning. The prints were narrow, distinct. Heels, high heels, not work boots. Tuna's breath caught. A memory flashed in her mind. Alex's mother stepping out of her car yesterday, her dark heels caked with mud. "She was here?" Tuna whispered. Alex said nothing, but his silence confirmed it. Later that afternoon, Egan approached them, holding a small wooden box. His voice was low, heavy. "This belonged to Chien. Before everything fell apart, he left it with me. I think you should have it now." Tuna opened the box. Inside was an old photograph of a boy, Chien, standing between Egan and a woman Tuna didn't recognize. Beneath the photo lay a crumpled note. "Don't trust anyone, not even mother." A chill crept down Tuna's spine. Alex leaned closer. "Chien knew something," he whispered, "something he never got the chance to tell." Just then, Tuna's phone buzzed. An unknown number. Her hand shook as she answered. A harsh male voice came through, gravelly and urgent. "Want to know who torched your land? Come alone. 9 o'clock. Old Drywell Junction." The line cut off. Tuna stood frozen, phone still in hand. Someone was watching. Someone wanted her to know the truth. That evening, as the sun sank below the horizon, Tuna walked past the charred ruins of the greenhouse once more. In her hand, she carried Chien's box, clutching it like a shield. Alex trailed behind. "You're not going alone." "I have to," Tuna said. "If this person senses fear, they'll disappear forever." Alex sighed, frustrated. "At least let me stay nearby, hidden." She nodded. At 9 sharp, Tuna reached the old dry well. The air was still, suffocating. The moon hung above like a watchful eye. From the shadows emerged a hooded man, a scar cutting across his cheek. "You came," he said. "I want answers." "You're braver than most. Your greenhouse wasn't the first fire, and it won't be the last, unless you leave." Tuna's voice was firm. "Tell me who sent you." The man hesitated, then his words cut sharp. "She wears perfume like poison flowers, and her heels crush more than soil." Before Tuna could respond, he vanished into the night. Alex rushed out from the bushes seconds later. "Did he say what I think he said?" Tuna's voice was a whisper. "Yes. And now, I know this is just the beginning." The next morning, Tuna's world felt even heavier. The hooded man's words replayed in her head. "She wears perfume like poison flowers." There was no doubt he was talking about Alex's mother. But why? What grudge could drive someone this far? Tuna stood by the kitchen window, staring out as mist lifted from the fields. Alex entered, holding a folder. "I stayed up all night," he said. "Cross-checked fire reports from nearby towns this past year. Guess what? 2 other farms burned to the ground. One of them had ties to Chien." Tuna's breath hitched. "Chien again?" Alex nodded grimly. "It's like a trail. Silent warnings." Before they could say more, Mr. Long burst in. "Someone broke into the barn." They rushed outside. The lock had been cut clean, tools scattered everywhere. But nothing had been stolen, except one thing. The wooden box. The photograph was gone. The note, gone too. Alex clenched his jaw. They want us to know they're watching, and they want Chien's secrets buried. Tuna's fist tightened. Not if I dig deeper. Later that day, a black envelope appeared at their doorstep, slipped under the front door with no return address. Inside was a single photograph, a younger Mr. Fong standing beside Mrs. Tui and Chien. But in this version of the photo, Chien's face had been crossed out with thick red ink. On the back were only 3 chilling words: he knew everything. Tuna felt her stomach twist. She stormed outside and confronted Mr. Fong as he repaired a fence behind the house. "Why didn't you ever tell me the truth about Chien?" she demanded, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. Mr. Fong looked up, his weary eyes shadowed with guilt. "The truth was too dangerous," he whispered. "Not anymore," Tuna shot back. He exhaled deeply. Chien wasn't just my son. He was investigating something about Tui. She had ties to land deals, shell companies, corrupt officials. He discovered she was laundering money through farmland ownership. Tuna's voice lowered to a whisper. "And the greenhouse?" Fong's eyes darkened. She warned him once. He didn't listen. Then one night, he vanished. Tuna's knees gave way, and Alex caught her before she collapsed. His voice was sharp, cutting through the moment. "You think she killed him?" "I think she paid someone to make it look like an accident," Fong replied grimly. "And now, she's erasing the rest. Anyone connected to Chien's legacy is a threat." That evening, Tuna returned to the ashes of her greenhouse. Something inside her had shifted. The fear that had paralyzed her was gone, replaced with steel resolve. She knelt near the cracked foundation, brushing away dirt and cinders. Her hand struck something hard. Buried beneath the rubble was a small metal box. Inside lay a USB drive and a crumpled piece of paper. The note read, "If I disappear, give this to you. Chien." Tears welled in Tuna's eyes as she clutched the drive. This could be the proof Chien died trying to protect. Back in the house, Alex plugged the USB into his laptop. It contained folders labeled Fong Holdings, Offshore Transfers, False Names, and one video file. The shaky footage appeared on screen, recorded in secret. It showed Mrs. Tui sitting at a candlelit dinner with a man in a suit. Her voice was calm, almost casual, as she sipped her wine. "If Chien talks," she said coldly, "make sure it's the last thing he ever says." Tuna's hand flew to her mouth, horrified. Alex's jaw tightened, rage burning in his eyes. This is enough to bring her down." Tuna nodded. "Then we go public." That night, their internet connection suddenly went out. The house went dark. Then came the knocking, slow, deliberate, at the front door. Alex peeked through the peephole. No one. But when he opened the door, a rock wrapped in paper rolled inside. Written in red marker were the words, "Release that file, and you burn next." Alex slammed the door shut and locked it. Tuna slipped the USB into her boot. "We're not stopping," she whispered. The next morning, they drove to the town's newspaper office. But as they arrived, a police car was already parked out front, and a fire truck pulled up behind them. Smoke drifted from the windows. The editor-in-chief, Mr. Chien, stood outside, coughing. "Someone firebombed the office," he croaked. "We hadn't even published anything yet." Tuna's chest tightened. Someone had eyes on them. Every move they made was being tracked. "We'll go straight to the district attorney," Alex said firmly. We won't stop until justice is served. Back at the farm, Mr. Fong waited with trembling hands. I saw her, he whispered. Tui was near the woods with someone. They were burning papers, and she saw me. What did she do? Tuna asked. His voice broke. She smiled. Tuna exchanged a look with Alex. The walls were closing in. The enemy wasn't a shadow anymore. She had a face, a name, and she was watching them closely. Suddenly, loud honking echoed from outside. Alex opened the door cautiously. A small van was parked at the gate. A young man stepped out, holding a brown package. Delivery for Miss Chu, he said, before leaving quickly. Tuna opened the box. Inside were photographs, hidden camera shots of Mrs. Tui exchanging envelopes of money, whispering into phones, even shaking hands with masked men. Tucked behind the last photo was a note. Follow the ashtray. Chien left you more than memories. That night, unable to sleep, Tuna wandered into the back shed. The floorboards were scorched from the fire, but under the planks, she noticed a strange pattern of burn marks leading toward the far corner. She pried the wood open and found a narrow crawl space. Inside lay a journal. Chien's handwriting filled the pages. Daily notes, meetings, maps, code names, a list of officials Mrs. Tui had bribed. One line burned into her memory. If you're reading this, Tuna, I believe you can finish what I couldn't. Tears filled her eyes, not from grief, but from fire, the fire inside her. She wasn't just going to uncover the truth. She was going to expose it. No warning, no threat, no flame would stop her. And so, in the quiet countryside where Tuna and Alex had once dreamed of a simple life, the fight had only just begun. Their home had turned into a battlefield. Secrets, corruption, and betrayal had risen from the ashes of a single fire. And as the shadows closed in, only one question lingered. Was the blaze that destroyed the greenhouse just an attack, or the beginning of a war? Tuna and Alex dream of a peaceful life on their farm, but everything changes when a mysterious fire destroys their beloved greenhouse. At first, it seems like a tragic accident, until Alex discovers the scent of gasoline, proof that it was arson. Suspicion quickly falls on Alex's cold and manipulative mother, who has long despised Tuna and seeks to pull Egan back into her world. As Tuna investigates, she uncovers chilling clues connected to Chien, a young man who vanished after discovering Mrs. Tui's dark secrets of land fraud, corruption, and laundering money through farms. Hidden notes, photographs, and a secret USB reveal dangerous evidence, while threats, break-ins, and more fires prove that powerful forces are watching. With their dreams in ashes and danger closing in, Tuna and Alex must decide, expose the truth or risk burning next.